All right, turn one ponder for Force of Phil. Magic Dad, thank you for the raid. Welcome, everybody. We're just getting started. Salty has arrived in the chat. Turn one Nethergoyf. Underground Sea for Phil. Counterbalance. Interesting. That's a daze. Phil's going to force back, pitching Lorien Revealed. Wow. Quite a fight over counterbalance. Force of Will. Pitching Brazen Borrower. Counterbalance is defeated on the stack. So Nethergoyf has 1 power. Potentially 2 power after this fetch. Ramalito says, I could be wrong, but I haven't seen much blue-black reanimator around lately. Are you talking about, like, online at your locals, or are you talking about on our streams? Here's Undercity Sewers. Mario is going to surveil now. Could try to grow this Nethergoyf. Yeah, Phil with no white mana yet. Very interesting. All right, dumps a Wasteland. That doesn't increase the Nethergoyf, but we get to attack for 2 and pass the turn. There's a brainstorm happening for Phil. Phil's Miracles decks, the archetype Miracles, I should say, lines up pretty well against tempo decks. Usually they have like the board wipes and the removal spells and the card advantage and stuff like that. The longer the game goes, generally speaking, the control decks gain the advantage. That was a predict for Phil. Merchant's Scroll was dumped into the graveyard. So generally speaking, Mario's going to need to close this game out quickly if it's going to be a victory. Orcish Bowmasters hits the board. Still a good card here in 2025. 2026, who knows?
Before damage.
Uh-oh.
Keep on me. For Kaios with 2 more than that.
All right, Kaito, Bane of Nightmares, is going to ninjutsu itself onto the board. And Darth points out that the best way to beat Blue-White X decks is Kaito. Admittedly, can be swept away with an instant speed Terminus from Phil. Yeah, Kaito has proven itself. It's among the best Planeswalker cards in Legacy for sure, if not the top 3, if not number 1. Besides, if you're going to leave out Tameo. Card's good. All right, Phil's brainstorming now. Bowmaster triggers are going on the stack. Council's Judgment should be played again? All right, Phil's scooping it up. Force of Phil in the chat says, sorry I waste time. I always trick myself into thinking Bowmaster and Kaito are ever beatable. Okay, Force of Phil feeling very, very defeated. All hope is lost for Phil, it sounds like. Mr. Bip says, tough game for Phil. His 2 biggest problem cards, Kaito and Bowmaster. Yeah, yeah. All right, Lorien Revealed gets Island cycled. Basic Island is found. Can't waste that. Don says, generally, I don't hate the blue-white X matchup, says blue-black tempo, but very draw-dependent, requires tight play. I think that, like, you know, some Jeskai control player would jump in here and say the same thing. Like, it's draw-dependent, it requires tight play, and I don't hate the tempo matchup. It's probably pretty close matchup, I would imagine. Generally speaking, the Jeskai control versus Dimir tempo, like the top 2 tempo and control decks in the format right now. Yeah, if that counterbalance resolved early in that game, we have kind of a different game. Mario needed to have the nuts, as they say, to win that one, and he had it. Had to also have the Bowmaster, had to also have the Force of Will for the counterbalance, right? Phil says draw dependent is really bad when Bowmaster is the pressure point. I think today we see, you know, card advantage cards like Thundertrap Trainer, for example, in the control decks that get around the Bowmaster ability, for example, where Phil's deck is just loaded up. We saw Lorien Revealed, obviously Brainstorm Ponder. He's got Predict. Like we're just like playing right into Bowmaster. What do you even call it? Strengths of the Bowmaster? Bowmaster destroys that stuff. But that's why people play different decks, right? You have like different decks doing different things, taking advantage of different weaknesses in the meta, whatever. All right, here's Counterbalance again. It's hitting the stack. We were just talking about this a second ago, how important it was to get it off the board or prevent it from hitting the board. Force of Will, pitching Daze, and Counterbalance is countered again. Daze post sideboard on the draw for Mario. Worth writing down in the notes. The tendency to side out Dazes in these matchups historically was a thing. What do the Dimir tempo players feel now? Would you side out some number of Dazes against Force of Fill or Jeskai control? All right, here's Baroglyph.
Cards. 3. 3.
Dart says, pretend how much I could leverage Wasteland. Yeah. Mr. Bibb says, I tend to side them out on the draw. Dart says, against Phil, Daze stays in. Against Jeskai Wizards, Daze comes out. Okay. Write this down, everybody. Lord says, I'd go down to 2 since I saw the counterbalance. So Baroglyph was swords immediately. There's that Cemetery Illuminator again. We saw this on yesterday's stream. Really cool card.
You may look at the top of your library anytime. Once each turn, you may cast a spell from the top of your library.
I guess Mario doesn't have every card memorized, right, chat?
So you can cast a spell on top of your library if it's a creature.
No, I can cast a spell if I've exiled something with this. I can then cast cards of that type off the top of my library.
Oh, of that type.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is much
And then
more.
it's
Like,
gains
what do
over
you,
time.
what do you care about casting creatures?
Right.
Cemetery Illuminator is on the stack.
Force pitching Kaito.
Force pitching Kaito. Losing Kaito here is kind of huge. Pyroblast on the Force. It seems like Cemetery Illuminator is in. And Phil's going to take a look at the top card of the deck.
Exile a Force of Will. So, yeah.
Okay, so Force of Will is exiled. Phil can now cast instants off the top of the library, which is pretty cool.
Wasteland in the red.
Red, yeah.
Okay, Wasteland on the Volcanic Island. And Murktide. It's pretty good.
Land Sorcerer instance.
Five.
Let's get exiled. 5.
In my
All right, Phil brainstorming now. Darth in the chat saying, I kind of hate Murktide against Phil or Jeskai decks in general. They got like 10 answers for it. Yeah, Murktide not at its best in these Terminus, Supreme Verdicts, Swords to Plowshares decks. I agree with that. That's not where Murktide tends to shine. Murktide Regent now, like, even in the decks that it's in, they've started trimming some number of them at this point. Going back a couple of years ago, I joke about it a little bit on this channel, but people were having serious discussions about Murktide Regent needing to be banned in Legacy. It's so broken. The whole format is warped around Murktide. It's ruining everything. It's ruining lives. And now it's just like, yeah, I'll Swords it. Get that out of here.
bless you. In your upkeep.
There it is. Swords to Plowshares. Goodbye.
Again. You ready? We didn't.
I didn't have it yet. No, no.
Mike has arrived in the chat. Happy Wednesday, friends. We all excited for next weekend. All right, Mike is pumped. Mike is pumped.
Yes.
All right, here's a brainstorm from Mario. Remember when people wanted to ban Uro, by the way? I'm not going to let this go, by the way. We got to ban Uro. It's in every deck. What other cards are people freaking out about? We got to ban Rakshasa's Bargain, everybody. It's broken. Here's Tamio. Folks, if you're new around here, I spend like half the show just making fun of the whack jobs on social media that call for bans of cards.
I'm going to attack Exile.
That's like half the show. Kolu says, what's Uro? Yeah. Yeah.
So keep track. So creatures in instance. Take two. Yep.
All right, Tamiel will block Cemetery Illuminator. Force of Phil says, at the time, Uro was exceptionally boring and redundant and blanked all of non-Dark Ritual Black. Looks like we're going to game 3.
My interaction.
I think the key part of all what Phil is saying is that it's at the time. Like, people kind of, while they're living in the moment, forget that Legacy changes very quickly over time now. And can kind of plan for that before you start freaking out. Harry says, good day, Legacy peeps. Harry arrived in the chat, everybody. Everybody say hello to Harry. A couple of years ago, like 2 months before Modern Horizons 2, I think, was coming out, people were like screaming about how like some card, maybe Expressive Iteration or something, needs to be banned. It's like, would you just relax? We're getting like a gigantic set in 2 months. That's my approach anyway. Audrey says, why do we have so many streams lately? I'm tired of so much good content. Audrey's fatigued, everybody. All right, here's a Thoughtseize hitting the stack. Plains, Prismatic Ending, Get Lost, Force of Will, Ponder, Disruptor Flute, and Lorien Revealed. You didn't think I was going to know all of those, but you didn't think so. Darth says take Lorien Revealed. I agree. All right, Harry likes to scream and complain constantly. Pinoy says they should unban EI. EI being banned is my opinion. This is my opinion, everybody. Everybody relax. Embarrassing. Like, legacy players thinking, like, we're the most hardest of hardcore Magic gamers. You're not. Expressive Iteration is banned. I'm sorry. It's embarrassing. It's too much card advantage. Just shameful. All right, Lorien Revealed is in the trash on Force of Phil's side. Oh, don't get me started about Dreadhorde Arcanist. I was heartbroken with that ban. Heartbroken. Here's Nethergoyf.
Good.
Well, Prismatic Ending still does the job. MH3 is gone. Audrey says, I would have agreed with you before Deadpool was released. That sealed the deal for EI never coming back. Yeah, Audrey's got it all figured out, it seems. C-Pre says, I really like playing with the frog. For the couple of months, it wasn't banned. You know, what can we say? The frog might have had just a little bit too much synergy and legacy, but there's also the argument that high-powered cards are what we want. In the end, I was for the frog ban, for the record. But I was still skeptical of the whole thing. Harry says, can we talk about the elephant in the room, please? Is Mario's deck on one side and Graveyard on the other? Yeah, we gotta get Mario one of those like newbie playmat things that show you where everything goes. Force pitching Ponder on the Bowmaster. Forcing back, pitching Ponder. Mario's had Force of Wills when he needed it. That's been a key part of this game. Key part of this match. Force of Phil says, I never thought Frog was too good. I think, for me, like, okay. I'll expand on what I was saying a moment ago just because people are still talking about the Frog. I agree with Phil. I didn't think it was too good either. But I thought community sentiment over the card was just so bad and people were so frustrated that it like went over the line. Like if it was almost too good, just being like unpopular enough put it over the line for me. Does that make sense?
Swing before damage. Second master.
All right, here's a second Bowmaster for Phil. Brainstorm, sorry, pitch to Force. Mario's fetching here. Yeah, the Frog was really good in the Reanimator decks, just being able to discard stuff, protect their stuff in the graveyard from surgicals and whatever they were doing. There was a lot going on there. Was Frog banned at the same time as Vexing Bauble? Was that the same ban? I can't remember.
Force resolves.
Because I remember feeling like agreement with that ban announcement or whatever. All right, Phil has found Alorian revealed. Phil will finally get access to blue mana, it seems. Oh, it was Bobble and Grief? I mean, it barely matters, but I agree. I agreed with Vexing Bobble, Psychic Frog, and Grief being banned. I think they needed to go at the time they went. Let's just say that.
The creature, instant, land, sorcery, creature, instant, land, sorcery, 4.
White Cocoa, thank you for the resub with Prime. 8 months. Appreciate it. It was Bobble and Frog. Grief was before.
Go ahead.
All right, Phil's still facing a Bowmaster on the other side. Mario's got all the Underground Seas in play. Achievement unlocked for Mario. Ooh, what is that?
What does Celestial Purge do?
Exile target red or black permanent.
So the target is Bellmaster.
Stupid.
Oh,
Yeah, I gotta do it before combat.
That was Celestial Purge. I forgot there was this full art version or whatever.
Gotta do it before combat.
Textless? Whatever. Yeah, Shardless Agent, it had its chance to shine kind of recently in Modern, didn't it? Wasn't it hot in Modern for a bit?
But if he's just going to combat, I should say before attacks. Just not open myself up to get a clear out.
Not really clear what's happening, but we're in the middle of our brainstorm.
Is destroy?
Exile.
Exile.
All right, Bowmaster gets exiled by Celestial Purge. It's gone.
Yep.
Paragraph is on the board. So Phil's been cleaning up this board. Now there's a Baraglyph. Should be able to deal with that, I think. So Tail says, how many Spider-Man cards did I miss? So far, we've seen one Spider-Man card on 90s MTG. Get Lost.
It's destroyed. You'll get 2 clues. I'm sorry, not 2 clues. 2 map tokens.
Map tokens. Remind me what they do.
Maps are.
Oh boy.
As a sorcery, it's 1 tap sack. Target creature explores.
Which is like either it gets a +1/+1 or I put a land in play.
It's reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a land, you put it into your hand.
In my hand.
If it's a non-land, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and then you get to choose to leave it on top or put it in your graveyard.
I guess Mario didn't draft Ixalan, right?
+1 to activate. Only as a sorcery.
By the way, I really like the explore mechanic. I feel like they should explore it more. I'm not even kidding. And I really like the map tokens. They feel really cool.
Time to activate 1.
Yep. It's reveal.
Is revealed.
Yeah.
The landers are pretty sweet too, actually. I agree.
That in my hand.
No, you can either keep it on top of your library or you can put it in the graveyard.
Twitch chat doesn't know what's going on. The blue sleeve on Mario's side is a map.
So you're leaving this here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the violation here goes to Phil. Phil didn't bring map tokens.
You leave one of them just here stuff? You're leaving it here.
Yeah,
for a second.
I'm in it.
Yeah.
Okay, the Explorers happen. Fatal Push has stayed on top of the deck. 3/3 Orc Army crashes in. Yeah, Harry pointing out it's Phil's responsibility. I agree. All right, here's a predict. Phil's targeting himself. Dumps a Null Rod into the yard. Is that Null Rod? What's Null Rod doing in there? To stop the maps? That was Null Rod, right? Okay, Brazen Borrower get flashed in. Phil's at 4. Getting dangerous. Wasteland on the Volk. Yeah, it does shut off Nile's Spellbomb, but do we care? More 2s for counterbalance? All right, that is the match. Couldn't eliminate the final threat, Brazen Borrower.
Tapped off, right?